Think about the last time you were at the grocery store. You're standing there trying to decide, do I get the name brand cereal or the generic? It feels like a logical choice. Price, taste, maybe even packaging. But how much of it is influenced by other factors like your social circles or cultural norms?
Exactly. Traditional economics often imagines this perfectly rational person like a spreadsheet in human form, making decisions entirely in isolation.
But we know that's not how real life works. Our choices are shaped by so much more: friends, family, even the cultural and historical context we're part of.
That's where economic sociology comes in. It doesn't just look at numbers and rationality, it brings the social, relational, and cultural aspects of decision-making to the forefront.
For this deep dive, we're exploring the ideas of Mark Granovetter, one of the pioneers of economic sociology. He breaks down how economic phenomena are interconnected on three levels, like zooming in and out on a map.
Let's start at the individual level. Those everyday choices, like picking cereal. Decisions here might seem simple, but they're influenced by taste, price, marketing, and even recommendations from friends or family.
Then when we zoom out, we see patterns emerge, like how brand loyalty or marketing campaigns shape collective behavior. This is the second level aggregate outcomes.
And when we zoom out even further, we get to institutions, the rules of the game. Things like supply chains, corporate structures, or government policies influence what even gets on the grocery store shelf in the first place.
The big insight here: these levels are interconnected. The choices of individual shoppers shape institutions over time, but those institutions also constrain and influence individual choices. It's a feedback loop.
Traditional economics often assumes we act out of rational self-interest, weighing costs and benefits to maximize our gain. But sociologists like Granovetter argue this is just part of the story.
Exactly. Think about it. You might stay at a job not just for the salary, but because you have close friends there. Or you might choose to hire someone you trust over someone you don't know, even if the latter seems more qualified on paper.
Granovetter calls this embeddedness, the idea that our decisions are intertwined with our social relationships and networks. He breaks it into two types. 1. Relational embeddedness, direct ties like your closest friends or family. 2. Structural embeddedness, the broader network like the friend of a friend who helps you find a new job.
And networks aren't just about who you know. Their structure matters too. For example, people who connect different networks, what Granovetter calls bridging structural holes, can hold disproportionate power by controlling information flow and resources.
Another fascinating idea Granovetter introduces is the strength of weak ties. It's often those loose acquaintances, people outside our immediate circles, who bring us new opportunities, like a job lead or fresh perspective.
Why? Because close friends usually know the same things we do, while weaker ties connect us to entirely different networks.
So, if you're looking to expand your horizons or your career, reconnecting with an old colleague or attending events outside your usual circles might be the key.
One trap Granovetter warns against is functionalist explanations, the idea that everything exists for a specific purpose, like a master plan.
For instance, birds didn't evolve wings just because they needed to fly. Evolution is complex with random variations over time.
It's the same with institutions. Take limited liability corporations. Some argue they were designed to encourage entrepreneurship, but their development was far messier and shaped by historical accidents as much as intentional design.
Granovetter gives us 4 questions to challenge functionalist thinking. 1. Was there actually a problem that needed solving? 2. Did this solution effectively solve it? 3. How did this specific solution come about historically? And 4. Why this solution and not some other one?
Granovetter also highlights how economic systems influence social structures and vice versa. For instance, labor markets often reinforce social inequalities like race, gender, or class, shaping who gets access to education or jobs.
It's not just about individual effort or merit. These systems create barriers or opportunities depending on your starting point.
A great example is the gig economy. It promises flexibility but also introduces new insecurities like blurred work-life boundaries and fewer benefits.
Economic sociology helps us see these trade-offs clearly, recognizing that new systems create both winners and losers.
Let's talk about the future. Technology, AI, automation, social media is transforming how we work, consume, and connect. But is it building real communities or widening divides?
Globalization is another force reshaping the world. While it creates opportunities, it also drives inequality and exploits vulnerable populations. Economic sociology can help us understand these power dynamics, who's making the rules, and who's benefiting.
Economic sociology teaches us that these systems, markets, corporations, global supply chains, aren't just impersonal forces. They're created by people and can be changed by people.
It's about asking critical questions. Who benefits? Whose interests are served? How do power dynamics shape these decisions?
And it's not just academic, it's a call to action. By understanding the interplay between the economic and the social, we can imagine and create systems that are more equitable, sustainable, and aligned with our values.
So, as you go about your day making economic choices, big or small, take a moment to think. What social norms, networks, or power dynamics are influencing you? How can you use that understanding to make choices that align with your values?
Because it's those individual choices multiplied by millions of people that shape the society we live in. And if we understand these systems, we have the power to change them.
That's the promise of economic sociology, tools to understand the world and the agency to make it better.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time for another deep dive.